Hello. Right. What? Getting strange looks off the dogs. Get up on the sofa if you want to get on the sofa. Go on. Thought you don't hump him, gay dog. Right. Going to talk a bit behind the times here because I've been busy and I've been away and I've not really had a chance to keep up on videos. But going to talk about the recent issues with IFBB International and IFBB Pro and NBC. Olympia Weekend, the Amateur Olympia, which is an international show, but sort of organised by the NPC. The international. Well, first thing, let's clarify the situation. IFBB International is basically the IFBB outside of America. So it's all the different countries, UKBFF, IFBB, Spain, etc. All are in that organisation, and its president is Raphael. Now, generally, their international judges judge shows with international competitors and quite often judge the Olympia as well. Now, the NPC runs the amateur shows in America and feeds into the IFBB Pro. The IFBB Pro is a completely separate entity. Now, NPC and IFBB Pro were run by Jim Mannion. As I said, Raphael's the president of IFBB International, but it's not really an elected position because it's done in-house. It's not done as a members vote, so it's a bit bullshitty anyway. And obviously UKBFF are a member of IFBB International. So, IFBB International announced that the NPC has been suspended after the Olympia weekend because they would not allow international judges to judge the Arnold. The Olympia Amateur. NPPC's argument was it's one of our shows, we judge it. IFB International said, but it's an international show with international competitors, so we judge it. So the IFB International said the NPC was suspended, which seemed rather strange to me because what are they suspended from? NPC feeds the IFBB Pro. Those two organizations are owned and run by the same person. So what effect does the IFBB International suspending the NPC have? It would be like the English Football League saying that the New York Giants can't play in it. Well, the New York Giants are an American football team and don't play in the English soccer team league anyway. So what fucking difference did it make? And it's exactly the same sort of situation. It bore no relevance on the NPC because it hasn't changed anything. Qualification in the States for the pro shows and the pro series is still exactly the same. You go to an NPC show, you qualify, and then you compete in the FBB Pro League. Nothing's changed. What it did do, though, was suspend all international federations, IFBB Spain, UKBFF, and all the rest of them, from their competitors qualifying for an IFBB Pro League card. Because they're no longer affiliated with it, they can't become IFBB pros. Now, I believe Jim Mannion said that all qualifications in 2017 would be honoured. So if you went to them with a legitimate class win, that you could apply for your pro card. And I think that's the other thing he's actually said as well, that a class win will be looked at, not just the overall, which is the current state in the UKBFF. Only the overall winner gets eligibility for a pro card. So, it seemed rather strange. Why would the IFBB International effectively suspend themselves? Then shortly after they announced the launching of the IFBB Pro Elite, or Elite Pro, effectively another pro league to rival the IFBB Pro that's already established in the States. Now, I really can't see this being particularly successful with the existing pros, for the simple reason as most of the pros don't like IFBB International, in the same way that a lot of the British pros don't have a great deal of positive to say about Bill Turney in the UKBFF. But they've kept their mouth shut because they knew it would cause them problems in their jobs, being a pro bodybuilder, if they didn't. So generally they've not been outspoken, they've kept away from politics. Obviously, Lee Priest was an exception, and look how much that cost him. So, we now have a situation where there's no international pro qualifiers for the IFB Pro League. So, Jim Mannion has set up another company that will offer, I believe it's 4 shows, and all class winners will be eligible for a pro card in that division. And there'll be 4 shows a year. Now, I'm on the understanding that the bulk of these shows are going to be in the UK. I'm a bit surprised that he hasn't approached either NABA or PCA and offered that their finals be pro qualifiers. It would seem to make more sense in an already well-established organisations, but I would assume that financial drivers are what's caused him to do it on his own. Now, even though the bulk of these would be based in the UK, they will be international shows. So they'll be open to anybody outside of the States to compete in. And class winners would be eligible for the pro cards. In the meantime, the IFB International is starting their pro series. Now, 2 things struck me about this. That one, if this fallout happened at the Olympia, then how have they managed to come up and structure a pro series in less than a week? So obviously this shit's been going on for a long time. And really, you know, there's been talk of this for years. They've wanted rid of Jim and the Pro League for a long time, but they've never been in a position where they could do anything really about it. So this suspension is all bullshit, and it's just an excuse to try and make it look like the IFBB International are a wounded pie and have been forced into this position. It's pathetic. It's so see-through. It's so transparent. It's so childish. It makes you think how thick these cunts really must be if they think we're going to be gullible and stupid enough to fall for that crap. The bottom line is the split's been coming for a long time. There's been a lot of pressure about cross-fed competition for a long time. There's been a few legal actions that have rumbled in the background, and the end result is that this was on the cards for a while. Why the IFBB International couldn't just turn around and say, you know what, we're starting our own pro league. So what, big deal? Why they have to make this sort of pathetic excuse that they are an injured party or that someone's done them wrong and they've been forced to do this? It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Excuse me. Get off. Chewing leads, you little shit. Anyway, so the other thing is they're offering quite decent prize money. So where does this prize money come from? And why hasn't this prize money been fired into the athletes previously? If you can suddenly raise £250,000 as prize money for a show, then I've got to question where the fuck has it come from and why the fuck hasn't it been given out before? Why hasn't it been used in international shows or national finals? Why isn't UKBF British finals got prize money? Because if the international put £250,000 together, they can obviously throw 10 grand at a British final. So what the fuck? So obviously this federation's been making a shitload of money for a very long time and keeping it. Now I know for a fact that the price for a pro card, when you qualify, you have to buy your pro card. You have to register, you have to pay for your registration, and it's 250 quid. That's it. Man, you don't give a shit. Just pay the money, and you can have your pro card. As long as you're eligible, pay the money, and you can have your pro card. So why is it that prices vary from country to country? I believe that the UK at times has been 500. I know Poland's been €5,000. And there's no way that money's been going anywhere else but the fucking administration's pockets. It's ridiculous. So, you know, they've been ripping athletes off for years. And yet all of a sudden they can suddenly find prize money to reward the athlete. This is something that the PCA has been doing since they set up. Now, I've no love of any federation. I've not really bothered me one way or the other. But I must admit, from what I've seen of the PCA, and I do know some people that are personally involved, it seems decent. It really does. And at least they've been upfront with prize money from day one. They've always tried to give prize money out, and the prize money is quite decent. In fact, some of the top amateurs in the PCA are making more money than some of the decent pros are in the fucking Pro League. So all of a sudden, the IFB International can offer prize money, but never been able to do it before. Oh well. We'll have to see what happens on this. It's going to be interesting times, that's no doubt. I mean, basically, American-wise, nothing's changed. It's Europe and the international market that has been affected. But the other thing I found quite surprising was that recently a class winner at a UK BFF show was approached by Bill Turney. And Bill actually asked him, well, he didn't ask him, he threatened him, to be fair. He told him that if he didn't come up with some bullshit negative stuff about the PCA, that he was going to remove his qualification for the British finals. Now, this competitor actually confessed all this in an interview with the Beef magazine at the recent PCA London show. But that's just disgusting. How worried must that federation be to start trying to bribe competitors into being critical of other federations? It's ridiculous. It's pathetic. It's childish. I don't understand it. It's just, it's playground shit. It really is. You know, the UKBF is so fucking good, then they wouldn't need to do this shit. But obviously, they're worried. They've lost their golden ticket now. They no longer have this big fancy pro card. You know, you qualify within the Pro Elite Series, you can't compete in the Olympia. It doesn't happen, mate. You're competing in their version. It's obviously a new series. It's not established. It doesn't have the kudos or the prestige. You know, I don't want to be, as I was a competitive bodybuilder, I wouldn't want to be Mr. Elite. I'd want to be Mr. Olympia. That's the crown jewel. That's the top of our sport. So I just find it ridiculous that a federation is acting in this way and the federation's officials are acting this way. And the thing is, there's some good judges at the UKBFF. Some dodgy fuckers as well. And there's some fucking idiots that don't know their ass from their elbow. But there's some really good, solid judges. And you find out in any fed, you know, you'll get judges that are a bit shit or a bit dodgy. It's just the nature of human beings, unfortunately. There are a couple like Panther and her husband Sean who are particularly fucking bent. But otherwise, you know, Joe Minto and a few others are great judges. Really nice guys, got a lot of time for them. I just don't understand their affiliation with that federation. I really don't. I mean, I was threatened when I was there that I wasn't to speak Scott Horton when Scott left. Oh, you're a friend of Scott's. You're not allowed to speak to him. What the fuck? Well, firstly, I'll speak to who I fucking want. And the thing was, then all it made me more determined was to go speak to Scott anyway. Me and Scott weren't particularly close. We knew each other, we talked, but we weren't like the best of buds. But it just made me more determined to go out of my way and speak to him because I'm fucking childish that way. If you're going to tell me I can't do something, I'm going to go fucking do it anyway. You know, it's just ridiculous. The whole situation is just ridiculous. So it'll be interesting to see what the future holds. Whether either PCA or NABA or one of the other federations are going to approach the Pro League to become qualifiers. I don't know if the PCA are particularly interested. They seem to be developing a good international market as it is. And they sort of have their own Pro League already. So that'll be interesting. Very interesting to see what comes. But changing times. I can actually see, to be honest, the UKBFF becoming a fitness federation. Think something along the lines of the Miami Pro Series that's in the UK, but I can see them very much being that sort of organisation. But I can't understand why anyone would want to compete in a federation that is now showing to be that corrupt. And to be honest, I mean, I fell out with the UKBFF, but my main issues were to do with the way athletes were treated and in general Bill's attitude towards things. I never actually thought they were that bent. I found it quite surprising when I heard that Bill had actually done this with an athlete. But it is what it is. Interesting times. Very. But to force an athlete to make a decision on his career that way is disgusting. But the thing is, it really is a bit of a empty threat, I suppose, because I don't really think the UKBF British has the kudos it used to have. I don't think it really is that all-crowning title that it used to be, particularly now there's no pro card on offer, or no pro card for the established pro league. And that's the other thing. The new elite now offers a pro card for every division within the UKBF finals again as well. So why didn't they fucking do that for the last 10 years with the Pro Series in the States? Why now? They'll say, oh, it was Jim Mannion. Maybe it was. But I don't think so, to be honest, knowing how these things operate. I think you'll find it was more the Federation. I don't know. It's just the whole thing's a fucking mess. What happened to just going and competing and, you know, you're the best, there you go, here's your trophy, fuck off. All this bollocks happening all the time, it's ridiculous. Anyway, I've rabbled on enough, so I will see you guys later.